paranormal. It surrounds us. It's everywhere. Tonight, you will hear from the people who live and work within these highly active locations, all in the efforts to discover America's most haunted. With your host, ghost hunter and author, Dan Terry.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. I am Dan Terry, your ghost host with the most haunted, and got an interesting one today. I think you're going to like this one. James Plemons, and he is the founder of Crossroads Paranormal. He is an ordained minister. He's got a podcast of his own that he talks about all angles of the paranormal. We're talking from the equipment you may want to look at, new equipment you may want to try, or equipment he doesn't really agree with, to ghost stories and other things like that. I'm sure we're going to be getting into more. Before I started the show, we were actually discussing the Mandela effect. So if you don't know what that is, we may chat about that just a little bit, because I'm one of those that remember Mandela passing away back in the 80s. So anyway, we got so much to talk about. Let's bring James on and chat with it. James, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about yourself, Terry?
Not too bad. You want to be called pastor or reverend, or you want to stick with James?
James is fine, or JB.
Right. JB? Well, one
JB
or the
is
other.
fine.
All right. Well, listen, you've been in this quite a while. I've been in this quite a while. We've both done a lot. So I've got a question for you because of your position. And every time one of those, and I'm going to be a little rude here about it, silly movies come out, movies with supposed to be about the folks with Annabelle and stuff like that. Ghost hunting groups like I used to run get just beaten down with people who believe there's demons in their house. How rare are demons, or how prevalent are they?
So I've done 3 demonic cases in Georgia.
Okay.
But getting the church to believe me was a nightmare. To get a priest to come and do the blessing. But it happens. It's probably less than 10%, if that, of cases that are demonic. There's there's ghosts that just want to be mean and make it out to where they're demonic, because they don't like people or whatever, or they're poltergeist and that. But I believe it. I believe the Annabelle doll has that. But as far as running into demonic cases, I would say it's probably maybe 5% out of 100. I mean, it's so rare. But they were on a rise there for a little bit.
Well, I was going to give it less than that. I started ghost hunting back in '79, and I've come across one possible case, and I'm not totally convinced of that. But I brought in some professionals people who had dealt with that previously, and they took the case over. But I don't know. They got rid of it too easily, in my opinion.
And that's one thing about demonics. They can go dormant. They not necessarily go away, but I call it dormant or asleep. Because a lot of times they will just back off to the point where there's no activity. And then when you let your guard down, it comes back. I've had cases like that where we've thought that we've taking care of the situation and had the home blessed, and everything was fine for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden something started coming back up, same activities and that. And we really had to dig into the history of the property, the people, you know, if they had anything, any type of trinkets or antiques that they've been inherited or got from a yard sale or anything like that, to really, you know, narrow it down to what it could be attached to, or if it was just something on the property that's been there forever.
Okay.
So it's a lot more goes into it than just, oh, it's a demon.
Well, I think you'll like this one or be interested. The one we did, the people I brought in used all the blessing stuff and fought the thing all the way up to the bottom, and then it got around him and went back down to the basement. They cleansed every area on the way down, finally got rid of it. And then the people who lived in the house, guy was working at Chrysler, I think, and a friend of his said, he was telling him about it, and his friend said, well, my sister's psychic, can we come over there? And he said, sure. And then his friend brought the sister over, and she said, why, there's a child outside. Come on in, honey. It's all right. It started all over again. Yeah. And that's when they said, my people said, no more. Go get a priest. We can't do it again.
Right. Yeah. And that is one thing. They will take the form of the purest form ever, which is a child. And or they'll mimic someone you love. Any way that they can get a foot in the door, you know, they're going to use it.
Well, that was a wild one for me. Like I said, I brought in them. Just the fact they got rid of it in about 3 hours that night made me question the whole thing. But they did get
here's
it.
A question for you on something like that. So you're on a case, and the spirit there has said your name and has told you things that only you would know. And then you go to a whole different location, you know, months down the road, and that same spirit pops up saying the same thing to you. How would you react?
I would say I have an attachment, but I can have those with human spirits just as well as demonic. And my first go-to thing is it's probably human. What I'm looking for is the certain earmarks that I got from reading The Demonologist and Father Malachi Martin's books, and trying to look for certain things. That's when this guy come to me and told me stories. Well, first off, he talked about nonsense for about an hour. This was at 3 a.m. Finally, he got around to talking about this, and it had the earmarks of a demon. Plus, the family who lived there before him had crucifixes on every wall, and he couldn't imagine why, so he took them all down. But that's when, okay, there may be something here. I checked it out. There was things on the video that I've never seen before. And he called me one day and he said, my son saw this thing. His little boy had been seeing a spirit that come to him as if it was a cowboy saving him from another ghost, protecting him. And then it started.
Oh, whoa.
Yes. And then it started knocking stuff off the counters. That's when I called the specialists. They said, Dan, it's okay. We'll be there in a week, but it's still in the house. It's okay. And the next day, the guy called and said, my son saw it on the school bus.
So go back to the cowboy. When I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, we lived on a piece of property, 100 acres with an old farmhouse that we were restoring. And it was wintertime, and the driveway kind of loop. You know how the old style would go around, like come up a hill and go to the house?
Sure.
I would sled going down and around and down our long driveway because it was kind of a good hill for sledding. Well, they were coal mining blasting on the property adjacent to ours, and this cowboy figure popped up in front of me and was like rolling his hands like roll over. And next thing I know, I was sliding on my back and a chunk of coal and rock hit the middle of the sled. So that's kind of, yeah, kind of creepy. You said cowboy figure, because it's like, oh.
Well, the way the kid described it was there was a kind of a misty looking thing he'd see in his room, and it eventually developed into a face and a body, but it would just stare at him. Then another one showed up after a few days wearing what looked like, he said, a cowboy hat and a duster. I got a real Chuck Norris in Walker thing, as he described it. And it would make that one go away. So he began to trust the cowboy. And then things started happening and stuff getting knocked off shelves, things being thrown. That's when they got a hold of me. So
I mean, I know, I've heard and I've known for spirits to come in and protect people from darker entities. So that part doesn't surprise me, but the part that things falling off of shelves and doors closing, that's kind of a bothersome, because who's doing it? Is it the entity that's getting mad because the cowboy's making it go away? Or it's the cowboy, or is it something else?
Well, it was the cowboy that started scaring him. So my opinion was he got the kid's trust and then started tearing the kid down. And it was the cowboy that he saw on the school bus. And that's when, all right, let me get these people in here, which they came in the following weekend. It was like a Thursday. They came in on Saturday. And they did a cleansing and all of that. Everything seemed to work fine till it was invited back in and all started over again.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. But that's why, like I said, I'm not even totally convinced, because to me, it just got rid of it too easy. But I wasn't going to argue with them. They took care of the problem temporarily. Family brought it back in, so get your priest. And an Episcopalian priest took care of it.
I mean, so it makes you wonder, why did it stick around outside? What was, because I mean, it had to have known that somebody was coming to be able to let it in.
And I suspect the demons know it. Yeah.
So I have always been told by demonologists and priests that anytime I talk about demons on cases and that, so they don't know what's being said, go to holy ground.
Okay.
And have the conversation like a church or cemetery, as long as it's blessed ground. That way they can't hear. And I always thought that was kind of weird, but it makes sense, especially in your case, because.
I remember the case where they used to say a demonic spirit did not know your sins if you had confessed them to a priest or whoever. So it kind of fits the same way. If it happens in holy ground, it changes the whole thing.
Yep.
But you've done more than that. Oh, go ahead. No, please.
Oh yeah, we did a case in Augusta, Georgia, that I ended up walking out of the house and calling the demonologist and was like, "Hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm getting," and he immediately said, "Pack it up, go home. We'll be in town this weekend."
Wow.
Because it was, yeah. I mean, the traits were there, the signs were there. Just the one person's demeanor. As soon as we came in and started doing the investigation and the blessing, and that his whole demeanor changed, the atmosphere changed. It was kind of scary, and I didn't want to turn around and put my team, because we were also training people at the time. So I didn't feel comfortable putting my team in harm's way or the family, and that they had kids. So it's like, yeah, we're going to wrap it up, and I'll talk to you down the road at the church.
That's
That's what we did.
So the neat piece of evidence we got, which somehow disappeared after that, set up a video camera that was a dog laying in the floor and a cat laying on the back of a sofa. A bright white orb come in and went around the room twice in a big circle, and the whole time the dog was following it with his eyes. Then it come over and it stopped like this far from the cat's nose, like they were staring at each other. And then it went over and out the window. I've never seen dust or moisture do that.
I've never seen it do that either.
Especially with a dog watching it. That's one thing that makes me think, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Maybe. There's a picture on my Facebook of me kind of squatting down with my right arm out with a white like orb slide. It looked kind of like a comet over my right arm. And how that came about was I was with another paranormal group investigating an old hospital in Georgia. Now it's apartments. Okay. And we kept hearing growling behind us. And I'm like, okay, so I tell you what, you can come over, you can touch my right arm only, but you cannot do harm. You can't harm anyone else. You can only touch my right arm. And as I'm telling it this, they're taking pictures, and they're doing rapid shot pictures. And they caught it over my right arm. I'm like, my right arm's burning. This is, this is the sensation. So we actually caught that at the exact moment it was going on. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And where all of you? And I don't. Were all of I investigated? Let's see. I did a place in Savannah called the Gribble House.
Heard of it? Yeah.
That place was amazing. I was part of the group that first investigated it to help them decide if they were going to open it to the public and that.
Oh wow! Yeah.
With the evidence that my founder of at the time, Crossroads, and we got the best evidence for him, and then we ended up going back. Anytime we wanted to come in and investigate, we could. But that place, we one night when we went in, and there's video on my Facebook page of this, you can see one of our investigators sitting in a room, and or no, she wasn't in there quite yet, but you see so Gribble House was in a big style garage warehouse building. It was built, they opened it over it held trolleys and that for Savannah. And so we set up dead center of the building and ran our cameras to the different areas that we needed. And then one doorway, there's a white banner behind it. And you can look and see dark shadows. You see a light shadow come in, and then you see a darker shadow stand in front of the doorway, and you can make it out, the silhouette, and you can barely see the banner behind it. And then you see the camera kind of black out. Which they called that the slavery room or slave quarters. And that then another video is our investigators sitting in a chair in there, and you see all these little orbs going, and then you see a dark shadow come into the room, and then you see myself and another investigator come in behind that.
Oh wow!
And we never seen it until we were going back through all of our evidence. But when we showed up to investigate that place, they would use spirit boxes, and over the spirit boxes, they would tell us, "Hi, JB. Hi, Jeffrey," or "Look out." I had left some equipment up on this one area that the spirits didn't like anybody going up there. And, I'm a polite guy. So it's like, okay, do you mind if I go up and get my equipment? I left it up here. And I got told no. I was like, look, I'm just going to go up, get it, come back down. I'm not going to bother y'all. Okay. And I said, I promise. I'm just going to go up, grab it, and come back down. It's quick and easy. I got, okay, by another spirit. So I went up, and Jeffrey was with me, and he came up, and another spirit, a female spirit, said, "Look out." Well, I was stepping over. I handed the equipment to Jeffrey and was stepping back over the rail, and it was like something just drained Jeffrey. He almost fell down the steps and everything. I mean, it totally wiped him out. And it's like, okay, that wasn't nice. And you could hear laughing through the box. And it's like, we'll be back, next weekend, but, we won't put equipment up there. And we got, all right, better not. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But the spirits got to know who we were, and, they recognized. So but there's so many spirits that went through this place that you never know who was there and who wasn't. Ghost Adventures, Zach and Nick, when Nick was still with them, right before Nick left Ghost Adventures, they did a investigation of a place in Savannah, but Nick also wanted to do the Gribble House. And so Nick went to Gribble House, and they focused more on the other place with Zach and them stuff, Nick. And at the end of it, they were talking, and they're like, no evidence was found at the Gribble House. And it's like, okay. But then Nick ended up leaving Ghost Adventures. So, but yeah, to me, that place was super active. We caught the evidence of people, dark shadows and stuff. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. It's on my Facebook. If you go and look at our videos on my Crossroads Paranormal page, there's videos of them. You can watch it.
We'll have to check that out. So that was one place. Anything else in Savannah? Because I've been there. I've taken a couple of ghost tours. A friend of mine is a ghost tour guy there.
I've done one tour. We were going to do the Pirate House or Pirate Museum.
Yeah. That's the restaurant, right? The Pirate House?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we were going to do it, but we didn't get a chance. The brewery, I've eaten at the brewery, the one that's haunted downtown Savannah. Right. I've gotten to walk down the basement. Really?
Yeah.
It's a cool place. I don't know if it's still open or not, but I've been downstairs in the basement. I've got pictures from down there, and I mean, I've got. I'm not really sure if I caught anything there or not, but I mean, you can tell the atmosphere is different. But they don't do ghost tours in there anymore for investigations. But a lot of the other cases were just, residential cases.
Okay. That sounds interesting. So what would you say was the most haunted place you've been to there? The house you talked about?
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
And I would say that place and the, well, you probably, since you've been in Georgia, it's the old Hawkinsville Hospital.
I've heard of it. I haven't been there, but I've heard of it.
Well, it's now apartments. They converted it over to apartments, but that's the place where I got the orb on my arm. I would say those are probably the two most haunted places I've been or dealt with. because we also had doors shutting and
Yeah.
and everybody accounted for. So,
All right. James, I got to slide away for a minute. Man, we are already at the 25-minute mark. So I'm going to
wow.
step away for a commercial, and I'll be right back. So don't go anywhere, okay?
Awesome. I'll be right here.
Oh, that's pretty cool now. And guys, I've showed you pictures before when the K2 was going off, got a picture. There was a bright orb right above it. A young lady out on Enoch's Knob Bridge holding the meter up and asking the ghost to set it off, and it would do it. I use the K2 a lot for backup to my dowsing rods. Got video cameras of all of it going off. It's so cool when the spirits are really wanting to get attention. They're wanting to help you out, or they're wanting to get a message across, or whatever. But speaking of getting a message across, I want you guys to watch this, and I'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. The truth, it's out there, and it's waiting for you. The Unexplained Network is your source for the best in paranormal programming, live video streaming, and audio streaming from hauntings, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, and the ever-expanding realm of the unexplained. Listen live or on demand now on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, and Pockets all over the World Wide Web. The Unexplained Network, where unexplained lives.
Guys, I've talked to you all the time about joining the Unex Network. All the shows are available. All the in-house shows are available on YouTube. Just go to Unex Network page on that, or Unexplained Network, and check them out. We've got some of the best guys all over. Michelle Roos over in Iowa does ghost-related stuff, and she takes a lot of ghost tours over to Europe. So she's got a lot of experience and training. I've been on her show. She's been on mine. It's great. And then we got a lot of cryptids folks. We've got a lot of UFO folks, people who really know what's going on. Excuse me. There is a lot to see on the Unex Network. You can join up. Go to the Unexplained Network or unexnetwork.com. Down a little bit, you can fill in the paperwork. A little later on, before the show ends, I'll tell you just a little more about that. But right now, I want to get back to James and get some more stories going. James, what's on your bucket list? What is it you've got to ghost hunt soon?
Ooh. I'm not really sure at the moment.
Really?
I know Waverly Hills is on my bucket list. I was supposed to be there the 1st of July, but something came up and I couldn't make it. So I missed out on that. It was with some friends that I've investigated with before, and then a bunch of new people. So I was really looking forward to that, but life likes to throw curveballs. So,
what about Alcatraz, the Stanley Hotel, the Shanley up in New York?
So the Stanley, I would love to investigate. Mm-hmm. Alcatraz, I would be more interested in going to Allegheny.
Okay. In West Virginia.
Yes.
Okay.
Just because of the history, and I'm originally from Ohio, so That's a hop, skip, jumping away from my hometown, basically.
Sure.
You know, so that's one of the places I definitely want to do. I know there was a hotel that I wanted to do in Americus. I think it was Americus. I can't remember where it's at now.
I think I know which one it is, and I've been in it, and I didn't find anything, but we got a good deal on the room, so that's where we stayed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like one or two rooms, but there's just so many. There's a place here.
Well, when you're in America,
there's a bunch of places in Ybor City that I would love to investigate.
Where's that at?
Because of Ybor,
okay,
Ybor City.
Not
it's
familiar
in
with it.
Well, it's a suburb of Tampa Bay.
Okay.
It used to be the cigar capital, and that's where they made all the cigars and stuff like that. So,
right.
There's a couple places there I'd like to investigate. There's a fort here in, well, it's actually in Donasasa, Florida, that the state park system has.
Okay.
That they've restored. So Alabama first built it. Squad from Alabama first built it, and they abandoned it because of the Seminoles. And then it's been rebuilt a few times. So, but the last time, and I normally volunteer, as a maintenance or camp post or something for the park anyway. And they hold events over there, tour guides and things like that. They tell the history of it, and it's interesting. The last few times I've been over there, so
Okay.
I've been working on getting permission from the park management to go and investigate that. Hopefully, I can get it. One place I would love to investigate is the Serengeti restaurant at Busch Gardens.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. I know Busch Gardens, of course, but I don't know that restaurant.
So Busch Gardens, I can't prove this. This is all stories that I've been told by employees, and that there's a little girl that roams the land, the property that Busch is on, and there's a few others, but they supposedly hang out near the Serengeti but they mainly roam. So it's like, okay, well, I do know that they at one time during Hello Screen they had a paranormal group come in and investigate, but didn't find anything. So. Oops, I almost dropped my phone. So I would love to just for the experience.
Sure.
And to say, I got to run around Busch Gardens at night. Would be quite fun for me. But
have you considered like the Lent Mansion or the Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City? That's not that far from you. A few hours. The month that they opened up that prison in Missouri was the same weekend they were having a battle at the Alamo. That's how old it. And this place held prisoners into the 1990s. And that
would be fun.
It's an amazing place, very haunted, and just I've been there 3 or 4 times.
So what would be your favorite place to go and investigate?
Oh my gosh.
If you could go this weekend and investigate, where would you go?
That's a good question. The places I used to love to go to have all been leveled. There was one called the Tri-County Truck Stop. It was on Route 66 in Missouri. Very haunted. I mean, I was there the night the spirit picked up a 300-pound man and threw him into the closet. But
Oh, wow.
yes, it was wild. I had a standoff with a shadow person who just wanted to sit and stare at me. But it got hit by a tornado.
Those are fun.
Recently. I loved it. Yeah.
Those ones, when the spirit just sits there and looks at you and doesn't really do anything, and they just observe.
Yes.
I mean,
well,
pretty
this
much
one,
they just observe.
When I challenged it, it actually moved, floated up and above me. So where the wall had him and my shadow, that became one shadow suddenly. So
oh, wow.
It was mocking me a little bit. But that was my first time I hit with a shadow person like that. So, but again, it got hit by a tornado last March, a year ago last March, and it's gone now. There was a very haunted bridge I used to go to a lot. I probably investigated that thing 30, 40 times. But they tore out the old bridge, put in a new one downstream, and now it's private property, and it's no going back. It would be hard for me to pick out a place right now. It's so much.
It is. It really is, because there's so many that, and it's not that you get attached to them. It's more familiar. You know what's there. You know what to expect. But at the same time, everything changes every visit.
James, you said it yourself a little bit ago. The more you go in there, if they're human spirits, the more they're likely to engage. It's like they learn to trust you. They learn that you're not there to hurt them or cause problems. And suddenly they're being very playful even.
Oh, yeah. They tell you things that only they know that other, maybe a relative of them or a friend of them know. And it's like, hey, I have to tell you this. And you tell them and they're like, how do you know that? But
yeah.
Who told you that? And when you tell them so-and-so, they're like, they're dead. You couldn't. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
I've had that experience too. That hey, so-and-so told me to tell you that this, and to prove that I was speaking to them, they told me to tell you this. And they just turned white as a ghost, and they're like, okay.
I was in the basement of an old bar in St. Joseph, Missouri, and I had the headphones on and I had the ovilus, and I was writing down the words it was saying. Afterwards, I said, does any of these words mean anything to you? And it was like laundry, it was candle, argument, daughter, there's some other words. Suddenly this woman, well, she was probably about 18, jumped up, ran out of the room. And her mom jumps up and goes with her. A little later on, they come back, and the mom comes back, and she says, yeah, she won't come back in here. Her father committed suicide about a year ago. We were separated. She had stayed with both families. He had, what do you call it, where you're really fixated on cleaning and such like that. And
right.
She said he always kept scented candles. They got into a big argument because she didn't get her laundry done and put away. And so she said, well, that's enough. And she left and went to mom's house. And he suicided later. But every word said in that one clip matched what she, and God, it was emotional right then.
So what is your favorite piece of equipment?
Dowsing rods. Dowsing rods in conjunction with a K2 meter and video cameras on that so they can see how both of them react at the same time. That's what I do the most with. How about you? What do you like?
I've never had the opportunity to use dowsing rods. I tend to use a K2 and an Oculus or um, the spirit box,
Right.
but I use it in conjunction. The worst, so the one piece of equipment that I'll never trust, because I mean it's a short really, is the flashlight trick where they
Oh yeah.
unloosen the flashlight and just set it to where it kind of flickers.
Mhm.
I you can't convince me that a spirit is making that come on and off, because I mean you vibrate, someone steps somewhere, the vibration of the building or whatever, because you're shorting it's you're barely making that connection, so any type of
Sure.
vibration will make that light come on. So
I've just seen times when it answered the same question the same way 3 or 4 times, and it's sitting on the floor with nobody anywhere near it. But I've never used it myself. I prefer the dowsing rods to that.
so I know the dowsing rods are pretty accurate, especially since they also use the dowsing rods to find water
Yes.
and that. So I myself haven't tried it,
Hmm.
but that's something I'd like to learn.
Don't spend the money. Just go to a hardware store and buy you about 3 feet of copper wire, cut it in half, and then 6 inches from each end, bend it. That's all you need to do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Any certain thickness, just like 14 gauge?
I use pretty thick. The stuff I use is what they use for buildings to run power from a lightning rod to the ground. So it's pretty thick. But I've seen
Okay, so
people use.
you probably use 6 gauge to 0 gauge then.
I want to say they told me it was 1 gauge the first time I bought it. But
Oh wow.
yeah, it's pretty thick, but I prefer it that way. And I think there's less problems with air movement and things like that. But I
Oh yeah,
really like them.
100%.
And especially when I can get the K2 going at the same time, which happens more often than you think.
If you can get them both to, because you're proving one and the other at the same time, using both at the same time. Because if
Right.
you're getting the answers on one, you should be getting the answer on that
Yeah.
piece of equipment. And if you're running a Oculus or a voice recorder, and you can, a lot of times you can get a verbal answer with
Mhm.
it too. So
I usually have a video camera going, so if there's voice, hopefully I can get it on that.
I want to try. So I bought the little microphones that you clip on,
Yeah.
and that I want to use those and with my phone as a recorder and see if I can catch spirits that way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I forget my voice recorder. It's like the one piece of equipment I walk out with not having.
Right.
So I figure if I do it this way, then I can't leave it at home, right? It's with me
Right.
all the time.
So you've got a Waverly trip coming up you talked about?
Had it, I missed it. It was July 1st.
Okay.
And I was going with some friends of mine who are part of 2 paranormal groups and some other folks. So kind of a bummer that I missed it, but hopefully I'll get to go next year.
What else have you got going in Georgia that you've been really very fortunate in?
Ooh. Well, I mean, my daughter is part of a group up there, so I do a lot of answering questions and that, opinions on things. So they basically just keep me as a consultant.
Okay, sure.
They've gotten into investigating a few places. I don't know what they've done recently. I haven't spoke to her the last few weeks.
Right. Well,
But
what's a really good tale you've got that you've been there, you've seen this, and it's amazing?
ooh,
I had one in
so
Kansas. Oh, go ahead.
it's not in Georgia. It's not
All
in
right.
Georgia, but it's in Ohio. It's in a town called Fredericktown, Ohio. I was probably 10.
Oh.
Well, no, I take that back. I was 8. I was 8. It was before we moved to the farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
We lived on a road that you come down the hill past one house that was up on the hill, then you came past our house, and then you did a 90-degree turn to the right and go out to the main road a quarter of a mile. And you have to cross a little itty bitty bridge. And we lived right beside Beaver Creek,
Okay.
which is like the size of a river in Georgia. And so I went across the street to go fish, and I forgot my bait, so I came back up over the hill. And I can turn to the right and I can see traffic coming in front of my house and down the road. There's no
Mm-hmm.
cars. So I look to my left and I see 3 people walking towards me. And it's not very often we get people walking. We get horseback riders all the time going through there,
Okay.
but not 2 men and a woman walking. The closer they got, the more I realized who they were, and took off screaming across my yard to the house. My mom comes out and she goes, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What?" Because she come out locked and loaded because she thought something was after me. And I was like, "I just see Mimi, Pap Pap, and some other man." And she's like, "Honey, that's impossible. They're dead." And I'm like, "No, that they were walking down the road," and I'm full blown panicking.
Yeah.
And so we went into the house, and she's like, "Okay, well, just calm down." She pulled out her picture album and was flipping through the pictures, and I made her stop. I was like, "That's the man." And I pointed to her father. Never seen this man in my life. He died
Mm-hmm.
before I was even born. And I mean, I didn't know who he was in the pictures. And I pointed to him. I was like, that's him. He was walking with Mimi and Pep Pep. And she went white. She's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, that's my dad. How do you?" I'm like, "They were walking towards me.
Right.
No biggie." So
You said no biggie, but it
that's
obviously scared you.
oh, it scared me. It scared me to death because I knew that she had. I mean, I knew my Mimi passed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was sleeping on, as a little kid, passed out on the couch. So my parents left me on the couch, and I knew my grandmother was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I knew she wasn't feeling good, and that didn't know exactly what was wrong with her. Just knew she was in the hospital. And in my dream, I was dreaming, and she came to me in my dream, and she's like, "Okay, look, I will always watch over you. I will always be around." She goes, "I'm going to heaven with Pap Pap and Ralphie, and that everything will be okay. Go wake up your mom. The phone is answer the phone and go wake up your mom." She goes, "I love you." I said, "Okay, I love you." And the phone rang, which woke me up. I answered the
Right.
phone, and they were like, "Hi, we need to speak to Faye Plemons. This is Salem Hospital. It's about Dorothy Grimes."
Mm-hmm.
I dropped the phone and ran and woke my mom up, and that's when we found out she had passed.
Okay.
So it's like, holy cow. So yeah, I knew she was gone when I seen her walking towards me.
Right.
and that. So it spooked me.
You know, in the last few minutes we got left here, boy, times went by fast tonight. What about your podcast, Within the Paranormal? What do you deal with?
In that podcast, I talk about the Mandela effect, which we didn't get to touch on, which I was hoping we do.
Yeah.
We've talked about Skinwalker Ranch. I would love to go and investigate Skinwalker Ranch, even with all the craziness and things that have happened to other people. You know, that place intrigues me something fierce. We talk about equipment. We talk about cases. You know, Bigfoot, UFOs. We cover so much, and the Annabelle doll. I was going to do a story on it recently, but you know, life. So
okay,
a lot of curveballs here lately.
I get that. It happens to all of us.
I'm hoping to start getting shows back out and pretty soon.
Well, we discussed a little bit about the Mandela effect earlier, and I, for one, remember distinctly Mandela died in prison back in the 80s, and it was on the cover of Time magazine. I got one every week.
It was what, mid 80s when he passed.
Yeah.
So it was probably 83, 84, 85, 86, one of those years there that he passed.
Right.
And I remember that because, I mean, we were still living in Ohio at that time. So it's crazy that here he is. He became the president of a country when he was gone.
Right. And then he died again. And I'm sitting there going, he died 20 years ago. I remember it distinctly. Before the word Mandela effect even came out, I knew he had passed.
So here's a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
The Fruit of the Loom.
The cornucopia.
It was there. It was there.
I remember it too. It was in the commercials on television.
Smokey the Bear.
Okay.
Is it Smokey the Bear or Smokey Bear?
I think it was Smokey the Bear. That's what I remember.
It was Smokey Bear.
Okay. Like I said, I get this whole Mandela effect thing because I've seen this stuff happen and I know it was different. But
it is. I don't know what causes it though.
You think it was CERN? That's what a lot of people seem to believe.
I mean, it is possible because they are messing with something that, you know,
right,
we really don't know a whole lot about. But it's weird how every time they start the machine and stop the machine, either time feels like it speeds up or something changes.
Well, the old timers, when I was a kid, said time gets faster as you get older, and they're right. I mean, summer used to last forever. Now it lasts a couple of days. And
my grandpap used to tell me that's going to catch up to you, and I just shake my head at him.
Yeah, it all does.
Catches up. It all does. Time catches up.
So your show is available on iTunes, right?
It is. It's iHeart, iTunes, Apple Podcast, or Apple Play, whichever it is. So it's available on multiple platforms.
Okay. And you said you're going to start putting out some new shows hopefully soon?
Hopefully soon I will be bringing out new shows.
All right. All right. Well, James, I appreciate you coming on tonight. This has been great.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a blast. We have to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got to get you back because I think you and I are kind of on the same page on a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, listen, do me a favor. Hang loose here. I'm going to say goodbye to the good folks, and then I'll come back and we'll chat a little bit after the show, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Back in a little bit. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, that's pretty cool. This whole Mandela thing, I remember the cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom commercials. And I absolutely remember Mandela passing. There's a few other things. I remember the cartoon. I was certain it was Smokey the Bear because I used to watch that cartoon when I was a little kid. But that one I wouldn't bet on one way or the other. But I would bet money back in the day Mandela had passed away in the 80s. So is there something to that? I think there is. I just don't know what. But we're going to let that one go. Hey, I do want to talk to you some more about the Unix Network. The Unix Network, to join, you go to unxnetwork.com, or the Unexplained Network, if you will. We changed the name back to the original recently. To join, you go to unxnetwork.com, drop down on that opening screen, and you will see a blanks that you fill in for it. And if you get into being a member, there's so many things. You get the blog, and the blog comes out whenever there's something worth talking about, which is quite often. Our blog, the people taking care of that, was way ahead on the Tic Tacs. We were way ahead on the scientists that were missing and still missing. One's been found dead. We're really on a lot of that stuff right at the cusp of it. There's the newsletter, which comes out once a week, talks about the shows. And again, there's a lot of shows on here. There's a bunch of shows on here and always getting more in. I can't even keep track of them anymore. And other than that, there's also the magazine. And if you become a member, the magazine comes to you free by email once a month. It's got some really great writers. They even let me write on it on occasion. In fact, the one on the left here, I had two stories, one on the haunted battleship North Carolina and one on Legends of Halloween. And when I talk about Legends of Halloween, I'm actually talking more of the fact when I was a little kid, they would say there's cults going to kidnap blonde-haired, blue-eyed children, or people are going to be putting razor blades in the apples or putting drugs in the candy. Every one of those legends has a little tiny kernel of truth in it somewhere. And that's what that whole article was I was discussing those kernels of truth that got blown way out of proportion. This one, a little bit more recent, back in March of last year, and I talked about the haunted dolls, which dolls just creep me out. I hate dolls. But yes, haunted dolls do exist. This one, I had the last call at the Devil's Diner. I was just talking to James about the Tri-County truck stop, and after the tornado destroyed it, I wrote one last article about the stuff that had happened there. So that's that line. If you get a chance, guys, you're missing out on a lot between the newsletter and the blog and then the magazine. Check it out. You can't go wrong with this. And I think that's about all I've got time for. So I want to thank my guest, James. I want to thank you all for being here. Stay cool. It's gotten very, very hot where I'm at. I think the most important thing for me to tell you all is to stay spooked. Good night. Whoops, wrong one.